Democrats are now openly saying when we get back in office, we're coming after everybody in the Trump administration. Also, why are Democrats so concerned about keeping killers and traffickers and rapists in the country, but not doing what's best for the American people? Plus, Democrats say, suddenly we want to block finding out where autism comes from. To help me go through all this, I have special guest Kim Bright. Kim, thank you for joining me again.
Of course, always a pleasure.
So Kim Bright, I like having her on. She is the owner and founder of Brightcore Nutrition, 50 years of experience in business and also just making sure that people are healthy. Right away, I want to bring something to the stage here. Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin, this is the guy that led the 2 impeachments against President Trump. He's now saying when Democrats get back in power, we are going to get revenge on Trump and everyone in his administration that created this fascist chaos in America. What are your thoughts on this? I know many people that voted for Trump, they're waiting for him to go after the people that tried to ruin his life. Now these guys are openly saying, we're going to make your life hell as soon as we get back in power.
Well, they already made his life hell for the last 4 years prior to him getting, winning the election and getting in. And, it's just, he's trying to be a good Christian man, I guess, and hope that they can change. But I don't think these people change because, again, goes back to, I call them demon rats. And they're certainly showing up as such, aren't they, Stephen? This is demonic. Who does this? Who can disagree with what this man is doing? He's putting chaos. He's taking chaos that they created and putting it in order. Yes, there's a lot of stuff still up in the air and everything, but this man is trying to do the right thing. He is trying to make America first. He's trying to make America great again after the incredible awfulness that we've had over the last 4 years and then, many decades prior to that. But it's crazy. These people, he's going to have to do something with these people because they just keep coming at him.
Yeah. I've had the privilege of performing 4 or 5 marriages for people that have asked me to do that. And one of the pieces of advice I always give them is, listen, you may do things differently, but as long as you're pulling in the same direction, you should be okay, right? Right now, I feel like you've got, this is like an old Western movie, right? You got Republicans pulling one way in a wagon and Democrats, and who's in the middle? The American people. And then boom, they're going to end up popping us off. I don't know why they can't just come together and say, hey, we have some differences, but we've got to work for making our country better, making our country healthy. They just keep going. Now, what's interesting is Raskins says that the Trump administration is unleashing fascist chaos on America. But wasn't it the Democrats that encouraged Black Lives Matter to burn down billions of dollars worth of buildings in 2020? Wasn't it the Democrats that were encouraging their people to basically dump Tesla stock, to encourage the vandalism of Teslas, throwing Molotov cocktails at Teslas, interrupting the flow of business and commerce? These people are crazy. And now I just read last night, Trump is dealing with over 170 lawsuits from the Democrats using lawfare to try to block his agenda. Aren't they, in fact, the ones creating chaos?
Yes. I think it's become very apparent to most people. If you look at the polls, there's like over 80% of the people they want what he's doing, trying to focus on Americans. And the whole thing is that we've seen over these years, especially the last 4, they accuse the Republicans, Trump, the good people of what they're doing. It's almost like confession. It's almost like they're accusing, but it's like their confession. It's what they're doing. It's what they're about. And again, what is their intention? What is their agenda? And what is their outcome over the last 4 years? Do we really want them back in power? I don't think so, Stephen.
No, I definitely don't. Something else I don't want, and I think you'll agree with this. I have 3 young children, a wife to take care of. I know you've got children, you've got grandchildren. Now you've got these Democrats. I've never seen them fight harder for a group of people. They didn't fight for the United Auto Workers. They didn't fight for the labor parties. What are they fighting for? They're literally fighting to keep murderers, killers, rapists, drug dealers, and human traffickers in the country, going as far as to use taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to try to negotiate with a foreign government, which is against the Logan Act. What are your thoughts on them working so hard to bring these horrible human beings back into our country?
I think it's insanity. I think it's demonic. And I think that they must be trying to, do population control on the Republicans and on, people that want a real life. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Bring the criminals back in, the rapists. Let's drug all the children with fentanyl. Let's kill them all off. Maybe then we can win an election. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's like they're so scared of not having future voters that they're like willing to allow the current voters to be killed or violated in order to keep future voters. It's just like, seems like such a terrible way to run a party. That's probably why their approval rating is at like 21%. Who could approve of this?
That's a good question. And I think people ought to chew on that for a minute and really think about that. Who really wants the outcome that these individuals and groups are trying to, present to us?
Yeah. Now, I don't mean to harp on the Democrats, but it's like just all weekend I've been stewing about, okay, I know the Republican Party isn't perfect. I'm more MAGA than Republican, but these Democrats,
Yes.
they're making me absolutely crazy. And then now you've got some of them, they're literally threatening to sue RFK Jr. to stop or block the research about autism. Like, who wouldn't want to find out about autism? 1 in 31 children born today is autistic. 1 in 25 boys is autistic. In California, it's 1 in 12.5 boys is
Yes.
autistic, with like 30% of them being nonverbal, physically abusive to themselves or their handler. They can't go to the bathroom. They scream. They have horrible health issues. Why on earth can you think of any reason why Democrats would not want to find out? There's got to be Democrats with autistic children.
Oh, I think follow the money. That's what I think. Follow the money, because if he investigates and finds out what and who is really behind autism, that's going to uncover a lot of things. For me, I think if you really go back and you look at, okay, when did cell phone use come in? When did all these chemicals really come in heavily into the food supply, into the soil? When did, let's see, use of antibiotics really kick in for children? Behavioral drugs. Let's see, microwave food instead of cooking it on the stove, or even using real food as opposed to ultra processed foods. He has got to look at so many different areas. But who eventually, if you follow those areas back, Stephen, who do they connect to? What do they connect to? It connects to the people that are in power, the people that want to retain power, the people that want to keep their money. And all of this is what it's really all about for that side. They are really wanting to protect the bottom line of all of these companies and corporations that have inundated our children with this stuff that has disrupted them so badly, their cellular structure so badly, that they can't think, that they're in pain constantly. They won't speak. I mean, this is an atrocity. And these people should be dealt with when it's all exposed, just like the criminals after the wars. That's how I feel about it. That's how strongly I feel about what they have done to our children.
Well, and you have to imagine there's probably people within the country that already know the answer, right? They
Of
go,
course they
oh
do.
crap, it's our product. What if we lose liability? Or maybe we don't have liability protection. Maybe they're big food or big chemical, and they go, if this gets out, we are done. We are
Yep.
done, because there are now millions of parents that are fighting in court to try to get help for their autistic children. It's really, really bad. Now, you mentioned something earlier. I believe that probably big food, big pharma, and big chemical, I believe that they are behind the scenes threatening people. I believe they're behind the scenes saying, guess what? You're going to be censored, removed, and we are going to run a new candidate. But when you start digging in, let's just use big pharma, for example, since you're in the health world. Remember when RFK Jr. was being brought in and they realized, oh, wait a minute, Senator Elizabeth Warren, the biggest one fighting RFK Jr. on discovering where autism comes from, she's received over $10 million from big pharma. She's number 3 for receiving big pharma money in the United States. And if we look up the next biggest one, wouldn't you know it? We've got Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the next biggest one. And you start digging in and you find out that so many of these politicians that are fighting this, you dig in and you find out that they are the ones that are receiving the most money. Bernie Sanders, Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Elizabeth Warren, Ron Wyden, Pat Murray, Democrat. So I think it's safe to say that the Democrat Party has been bought off by big pharma. So I, for one, look forward to figuring this out. But I have to imagine, like, okay, take for example, the standard American diet. Big food, big chemical, they're working hand in hand in order to produce more and more crop yield. But now they're using genetically modified organisms to create food. They're using these man-made chemicals versus manure and normal fertilizer and stuff. Do you believe that big food and big chemical have played a role in wrecking the gut of the American people?
Gigantic role. Yes.
I do too. And sadly, when you start digging in on the standard American diet, you start digging in on chronic illness, it almost all comes back to gut health. Now, I know that, you guys have your product kimchi, and we recommend it here on our channel, but why? Help me understand this. So, my whole life, I've had antibacterial soap. I've had antibiotics, antibacterial lotion, COVID. They were pushing alcohol rub everywhere I went. I went to Disneyland. I went to Universal Studios. You couldn't even get on a ride without soaking your hands in alcohol. But we're told that our gut is full of bacteria, good and bad. What is the role of good bacteria? Because you would think you would want none. Help me understand that.
Well, there's good and bad bacteria. And yes, when you have a skin microbiome on your skin, and you have a skin microbiome in your gut, and you have a microbiome in your brain, and when that gets disrupted of its own balance by overpopulation of bad bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites, you knock that balance out, and all of a sudden you have a problem, not only in those areas, but throughout the whole body, because the health of all our organs, of everything, starts in our gut. And it keeps the pathogens out that come through our nose and our mouth. The skin keeps the pathogens out, microbiome there, that's trying to invade through broken skin, through, problem skin. And so when you are constantly washing with antibacterial and things like this, and you're taking antibiotics, that means against life. And so you have to put back in the guys that are for life, or the probiotics. But and you mentioned, like, with COVID, there was an article I wanted to talk about that came out in the Times of India, February 28th of 25. It talked about these Yale scientists that have done some studies with, they studied 42 people that had symptoms after COVID, and they're called PVS, post-vaccination symptoms, okay? 42 of those. Then they studied 22 without symptoms. They found out that they had lingering spike proteins. They found out that there was an alarming new syndrome causing these distinct biological changes. And they had their immune cells were altered there was such a difference in these people. These people that have post-vaccination syndrome had inflammation. They had exercise intolerance, brain fog, fatigue, insomnia, dizziness. All these things were happening. And what these scientists found out in this study is there's two types of T cells. Those T cells help us. The first fights infection when it sees it. The second one, it will kill off the infected cells. And what they found out in this study is that the people that had these post-COVID vaccination symptoms, they had very little of the T cells that go in to protect and to find the problem and start to tell everybody in the body, this is invading, this is a bad guy. So those were lowered. And then the other T cells, the killer T cells, they had an up amount of those where they killed off the infected cells. So it was very out of whack with these people. And they are thinking that maybe, they had higher levels of the SARS-CoV-2 spike proteins. Now, some of these people, they had little to no spike proteins, but the majority of the people that were affected had these spike proteins remaining there. And if you've had them longer than 4 weeks, it's considered long COVID. So these were affecting them. I mean, some of them had them up to 700 days after they got vaccinated. So what they said is, these scientists are finally telling some truths here. Like, we need to study more and understand before we put these vaccines out, what side effects are. We have to make better vaccines. And then to quote them, they said, every medical intervention carries some risk, and it's important to acknowledge that adverse events can occur with vaccinations. Now, do we remember how many times Fauci was, oh, they're all good, nothing, no problem, you got to take it, you got to wear a mask. The problem too with these spike proteins is they're nanoparticles. So the mask, forget about the mask, they didn't do anything. It was just like, this is crazy. So the whole thing here that was in this article that I was really happy to read about is they're actually publishing some of the truths now, because I think of what RFK Jr. is doing, because he's starting to shine light in different areas of these things that affected us so profoundly. And I think it's a good thing, but we got to stir the pot up, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and we got to just walk through it in order to get the other side, or we throw our hands up and give up and let them, let the demon rats come in and do what they do. But I think it's very, very important that we understand, with all of this going on, with this inundation of chemicals, inundation of all this stuff from the vaccines, now it's more important than ever to pay attention to our immune system in our gut. Our immune system is 70 to 80% of our gut. And if we don't take care of that balance in the gut, if we don't take care of those good guys, then we're going to go completely out of balance. And for people, and our immune system can't function right. And for people that have been on a lot of antibiotics, which a lot of children that have problems have been on continuous antibiotics their whole life, and adults too, that kills off not only the bad guys, but the good guys. And if you don't restore the good guys back into that gut microbiome, you're screwed, to put it real plain. And so we have got to concentrate on our gut. And, whether or not you have these vaccinations, these mRNA vaccinations, you are exposed to it, because these nanoparticles of the spike proteins come out in people just speaking on you, or sneezing on you, or coughing on you. And this whole study found that it was in all of the different fluids in our body. So it's in our urine, it's in the fecal matter, it's in when you have relationship, you can exchange it. When like I said, speaking to somebody. So it is, really awful. And the spike proteins also induce, they found out, fibrin clots, which means that the blood flow in our body was slowed and stopped, and speeding up aging. And then they're putting it in livestock, because even organic standards, they haven't concluded that the mRNA vaccinations are synthetic. They know they're not GMOs, so they're saying, well, they can be included with the other vaccinations. So I want people to know that they're putting the mRNA into our livestock as well.
Yeah, they're also trying to genetically modify it into like produce. I mean, these people are really sick. The thing that stood out to me about the article that you sent to me was normally the spike protein stays in the body only a few days. But the people that got these miracle shots, as you said, Yale Medical, 700 days later, the virus is still self-replicating inside of people's body. The other thing that I found that was really, really scary is there was this doctor, Dr. Sabine Hazan. She's an expert in gut health and nephrology. But she basically said that when they went in and tested people's fecal matter, that people that had the virus had low amounts of bifidobacteria in the gut, and
That's right.
the people that had the vaccine had nearly zero. It had completely killed off everything in their gut.
That's right.
It's crazy. And then you have Dr. Fauci walking around. I read just yesterday that he's received almost $3 million from the US government in his first year in retirement. Like most Americans working 50 hours a week their entire career don't make $3 million.
No, we're rewarding criminals. This guy has got to be taken to task. He is a criminal in my mind, Stephen. And I've thought about, I've thought he was that from the get-go. But, now's the time that we have to concentrate on our gut. It has just been, it's like a war is going on for many generations there. It's been trying to hang in there. But the most important food that you can utilize to bring back some of those good guys into your gut, therefore on your gut, on your skin microbiome, in your brain, get rid of the brain fog, is a fermented food called kimchi. And, we have the kimchi one. Now, kimchi has been used for centuries in Korea. It is the king of foods as far as fermented foods go because of its over 900 plus different probiotics in there and many unique strains among those that aren't found in any other food, in any other fermented food, whether it's sauerkraut, pickles, any other fermented food. So when you are able to take kimchi on a daily basis, and this is key, your gut is so bombarded with overgrowth of fungus and yeasts and molds and parasites from the abuse. And I'm not upset with people out there. They didn't know that the foods, the stuff they were eating were so bad and killing off their gut microbiome. They hadn't a clue, really. They're trusting the government. They're trusting the FDA all these years. They're trusting, big ag. They're trusting everybody. And because, most people are basically good people and they think the government has been taking care of them. Well, I got news for you. It hasn't been. And now you must take care of your own self. You must start reading labels and you must start putting back in that balance in that gut microbiome, or you're going to continue a further downward spiral. You are going to see so many different imbalances in your body called dis-ease. And then you're going to go to a doctor and he's going to write you a prescription because he's all trained in Western medicine and pharmaceuticals. Now's the time to understand there's a whole different approach. I studied traditional Chinese medicine. I studied Ayurvedic medicine. Those are Eastern medicines. They look at the cause. They don't change a symptom into another symptom. So with kimchi going into our gut every day, and you can get it conveniently in the kimchi 1 capsules, you are embedding every single time you take that kimchi, all those friendly bacteria in there that kill off the overgrowth of the fungus, the bacteria, the viruses. And Stephen, if I can, I'm very excited because we have so many people calling in that use the kimchi 1 that they've either been affected by the spike proteins from COVID virus, or they took the jab And I've got some here. One of them said, I made the unfortunate decision to get the COVID vaccine after months of trying to manage strange, lingering symptoms on my own. Kimchi one's the only thing that provided the balance my body needed. My digestion, my energy, and my mood have significantly improved. Because again, remember, we got the microbiome in our brain, and so that gets affected too. And then another one was Kimchi One helped me recover from unexplainable flu-like symptoms and exhaustion that appeared after being around those who had recently been vaccinated. Since taking it, I feel much better. I started taking the kimchi after dealing with lingering digestive issues and brain fog that I suspect were related to shedding. Not only has my gut health improved dramatically, but I am sharper and more energetic. This product supports my body in ways I never expected. And then one more, I had unusual muscle aches and fatigue after getting vaccinated. After starting Kimchi One, I felt a noticeable improvement in my energy and physical comfort and my sleep. I'm so thankful for this product. So we have so many more stories that just cover the gamut. Digestion improved, skin health improved, people that have acne. I just saw something on the TV this morning. They've now got these machines that they're trying to use on veterans to go in and clear up acne. I wonder how much that's costing the taxpayer when all you got to do is improve your gut and the acne goes away. And anything on the skin is related to your gut health, Stephen. So, there's so many there. And the other thing I want to talk about too, that's so important. We get these molds, these aflatoxins that are on our food supply, like in peanuts and corn and other grains. And it's called aspergillus. There's two types, but this aflatoxin that this fungus makes is called aflatoxin B1. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the most harmful toxic substances that you can ingest. And do you know there's studies out there? And these are some of the symptoms: red eyes, coughing, fever, joint pain, headache, nosebleeds, rash, muscle pain. Did you know that there's a study that was published that show using kimchi, it kills this type of aflatoxin in 3 days, 72 hours, nothing else out there like it. So this is another reason to eat kimchi and to take Kimchi One capsules, because you're ingesting corn, you're ingesting peanuts. Look what we feed the kids: peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, corn chips, corn's in everything. And we've been ingesting, of course, corn syrup, which is solids, which is awful, and has really wrecked our health. So Kimchi One, if you don't want to get the kimchi, if you don't want to eat the regular kimchi, smell, taste, all of that is a problem for you, get the capsules, please, and start taking care of your health and your children's health. Any age can use this. It's so important.
Okay. Well, I want to give you guys a shout out. So if you guys want, you can snap a photo of the QR code, or down below, mybrightcore.com/kimchi. Use code Gardner. You get 25% off. But I know that my audience is smarter than that. So you guys, your phones are going to be ringing. You can get up to 50% off plus free shipping if you call 888-908-4425. I've got to start using this for my teenagers. I've got my 10-year-old on it that was having gut issues. I had a leaky gut after getting COVID, Delta COVID, and I've been using the Kimchi One. And my daughter and I, we've both felt such a difference. But when you mention acne, I'm like, oh gosh, all my teenage kids. And I hate putting all those chemicals on their face. I'm definitely going to be recommending that to them. So
yeah, that skin starts in the gut there. The hormones, how they change when they become teenagers, and the gut is directly connected. You've got a communication line to the hormones. So it's really important. But before we go, I'd like to mention too, that this is an Easter special that we're giving your viewers. And we know it's after Easter, but the whole thing here is, let's resurrect your gut, just like Jesus was resurrected. Let's remember what Easter was about, the resurrection. He's given us this temple. If I might, 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. I can't think of a better passage from the Bible during this time, this season, to remind us what these bodies are all about and how we need to protect them. We need to take care of them and honor God and honor the Holy Spirit. So please, please take care of your gut.
Yeah, we, it turns out you only get one body, right? So we
Yep.
got to take care of it. One more thing, and then I'll let you go. You mentioned the microbiome in the brain. I think I'm going to send Representative Jamie Raskins a bottle of this. Something's wrong with the biome in this guy's brain. I mean, he just cannot get over his Trump derangement syndrome. And if they get back in power in 2026, I guarantee you their first move is to impeach Donald J. Trump, and that would be horrible for the country. He's already done so much. We're coming up on his first 100 days.
God bless him.
Yes, God is back. America's back. Trump is back. Just makes me so, so happy. So, Kim, thank you for coming on. Thank you for the very generous discount for people to do kimchi. Let's pray for RFK Jr. to continue to make America healthy again, and the entire Trump administration. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, and the same to you.